Oh, I see the lights on the camera here, Joyce. That must be we were ready to go, huh? Well, welcome.
Welcome, John, to your show.
To our show, Joy. This is What's Good. Definitely subscribe on YouTube if you can. It's free, and we've been having a whole bunch of fun doing this. And
meeting great people.
Meeting great people. I mean, every now and then, we typically have our half-hour broadcast each and every week, and then we bring in a guest, and a gentleman I've known for a long time. Joyce, I know you have too.
Right.
This guy is so talented. He can do it all, and he has a show coming to the Legacy Theater in Branford, which I love.
Stony Creek is beautiful.
Oh, remember when it used to be the Puppet House back in the
Puppet House
day?
Theater.
Yeah. But he's going to be doing a show featuring a lot of the 60s vocalists.
Who is this guy?
I think it's over there. What's his name?
Begins with a C.
Chad or Zach? No, it's Chaz Esposito. Yay. Chaz, good to have you, man.
John, hi, Joyce. This is great. This is great.
It's so great to have you on.
Long time
Chaz.
no see.
I know.
She looks exactly the same.
Oh,
that's a great thing.
Oh, I love you.
Yeah.
See?
And no Botox.
That's
all Joyce talks.
That's all.
Yes.
Joyce
Come and get
talks.
some Joyce talks. Yes. Joyce wants it. But
This is great. This is great what you have. What's good with John and Joyce? I love it.
We're really
And thanks for inviting me.
We got some
you're
great people
welcome.
here. We got David and Steph in the background. We're only as good as they are. They do their part to help us.
Great people.
Sound
Yeah.
and make.
Yep.
And
He did great makeup. I have no shine.
So
I have
he
no
said
shine.
You're the first person he's ever done makeup on.
I don't know if that's positive
That's
or
a
negative.
But Chaz, let's get into this,
Yeah.
right away about your story. I mean, you're well known around these parts and also nationally. I mean, you played Broadway, and you tell us about some of the audition processes you've gone through, and
crazy.
it's not easy. I mean, you have to develop a lot of Teflon in the business you're in,
Correct.
the entertainment business, and go there and realize that people can not be so nice sometimes when they reject. And in this business, there's a lot of that, especially coming up, right?
Absolutely. There's more rejection than gain, but you fit the gain into the rejection. You learn to live with it. And part of my business I went into was as a casting director. I've been casting for 25, 30 years, commercials and industrials films, and I think I've learned to give it back to people, like to be nice to people, because it's tough. I know what it's like to be on both sides of the camera and both sides of the stage. So, treat people like human beings and be nice, and it comes back to more than you give it. So, I know what it's like to be there. So when I audition people, I'm gracious they're there, and I thank them, and it could be a lot nicer business. Let's put it that way.
I mean, Joyce. She'll tell you her story a little bit, but she's worked with so many great people like Michael Bolton and John Mellencamp and Carly Simon, Mariah Carey, and you've seen them, and sometimes people can not be so nice to them on the way up, or even when they've made it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But there's a way to communicate with people. You can say something in a critical way, but do it, like you said, in a very nice way. Treat people with respect.
Treat people
right,
with
Joyce?
respect, and it'll come back to more than you can expect. So I knew Joyce back in the Michael Bolton days. Well, Michael Bolton's still with her, but
remember Michael Bolton, right?
Bolton.
Michael Bolton,
Right.
Blackjack days.
Oh yeah.
She was his
Toad's
right-hand
Place,
person.
And then Oakdale Theater.
Oakdale Theater.
I remember when it was 1988 before he really, really hit.
Right.
With a Grammy win and all of that.
And you were down at the Palace for
I was
some
at the
years.
Palace.
See?
Yeah, the Palace Theater.
Don't forget.
Good memory,
Yeah,
Chaz.
you
I might
have
need
a
makeup,
great-
but my brain is still there. I have a little shine, but other than that,
That neuroelasticity is still working.
still going. I have to remember a lot of lyrics.
I'm surprised you remember that.
Oh, no, I totally remember that. Remember your office.
Yeah. But she was at the
Really?
Oakdale Theater.
Yes.
We worked together at WPLR back in the days.
You were
Joyce
there
did
with
promotions.
the original guys, Bo and Ben.
Yes.
Seagulls.
Yeah. Boy, do I love them. I learned so much from Ben Siegel.
That was
and
the
Bo
Oakdale.
was
Great
my
people.
heart.
In the round.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Didn't get better than that.
Did you ever
I've
play
seen
there?
Shows there. I did not.
No.
I did not.
Did you introduce some acts there or anything?
I did. What
I knew there was an association with you at the old
Yes,
Oakdale
the
somehow.
St. Raphael's used to do a benefit, and I did
Right.
perform there. What the heck was it called? It was some sort of benefit, but I performed there a couple of times with that.
Yeah.
But a lot more hair, less makeup. That's funny, Joyce.
But I'll tell you, Chaz, you really know how to play a crowd. Your
Thank
Bobby Darin is spot on, but not
Thank
just
you.
Bobby Darin. Right, Joyce? You channel a lot of great artists like Frank Sinatra and Frankie Valli and Elvis, of course. And
I had a passion for the Darin thing, and it's I perform in a couple of touring shows now. One is Mack is Back, which is my story of Bobby Darin, and the new show that we're doing at the Legacy Theater is Legends of the 60s.
When's that going to be again?
That's going to be May 1st through May 18th. 15 performances. Legacy Theater is beautiful.
Yes.
This is my third time coming in there performing. I can't wait. It's intimate. It's really a place to be. We're bringing the whole band in, 12 pieces. Wow. So we really,
That's
sometimes when I go to small venues, people who follow me, they'll say, oh, you shorten the band up. And no, the band is the band if it's a 100-seater or 1,000-seater, because we recreate that sound, whether, it's Tommy James and the Shondells or it's Sinatra, Strangers in the Night. And you have to really produce that again to make it sound well. So, we don't cut cost for band. The band is the show, and they're on stage.
People remember the record. They want to hear the record.
That's exactly it. Especially when it's not the artist doing the record.
Right.
But it started off doing an off-Broadway show called Mack the Knife, which I did for about 3 or 4 months off Broadway, and then we toured it for about 6 or 7 years. It had the endorsement of the Bobby Darin estate, which was very difficult. It was very big. And Steve Blauner was the trustee for the estate, who's Bobby's former manager. Great career he had, and a great guy to know. I mean, he produced Easy Rider, The Monkees, because he headed Screen Gems Entertainment, managed Bobby. So that's I
Column Screen Gems.
Yes,
right.
That's right. And Steve ran that. So just getting him to say yes was a very difficult hill to climb. But I discovered Bobby as a kid. My mother sang a little bit, and I remember watching the NBC special. And, at the end, he would always sing Mack the Knife, and I didn't know who he was. I was a kid, and my mother said, I love Bobby, and it just stuck.
You know what? My mother loved Bobby Darin. I wanted to ask you about this.
Sure.
Because you said you do the story of him. But I remember my mom feeling sorry for him because he had a heart condition very young, right?
Yeah, rheumatic heart fever from 12, 13.
Happened.
He wasn't supposed to make it to 17, 18 years old. So, that's a great story to go off of. So when people listen to Darin, or when we did the original show, and even when I did the Mack is Back, which is my stories of doing his show and his stories and meeting Wayne Newton and Dick Clark and Frank Gorshin and so
Frank Gorshin, the Riddler.
The Riddler.
Wow.
I have a story for that
Please.
I'm telling in the show, but
Okay.
I'll tell you. So the biggest problem Steve Blauner would have with Bobby is his fluctuation of music. From country, You're the Reason I'm Living, to big band, Beyond the Sea, to Mack, to Splish Splash. And, he would finally say, you have a lifetime. I don't have time. So
he knew that.
Oh, he knew it was coming. Sure. He knew he knew he wasn't going to live to 80 years old. So when he had the urge to change music, he did it. He didn't say, well, my audience. Some of the stories I've heard, when he played the Cope in the late 60s, he was doing his, protest songs. He was getting booed. He 4-piece band, didn't care. He said, this is what I'm singing now. That's it. Take it or leave it. I mean, he was that strong of a willed guy, and he knew what his life was all about, and this is what I'm doing now, and sorry.
I remember when he was younger, he said he was going to be a millionaire before he was going to be 25 years old.
A legend before 25, and bigger than Sinatra.
And he accomplished a lot of me because, like you said, he started out as a rock and roller, then became a little bit more of a lounge singer like Sinatra, and then he would do If I Were a Carpenter,
which many people don't even know that was Bobby Darin.
1966. It was written by Tim Hardin. And also Johnny Cash and June Carter Cash had a #1 country hit with that.
Correct.
But Bobby Darin, I love that song. I love his interpretation of that song.
Totally great. It's his last top 10 hit. Went to number 8 in late 66, 67. And when I did it off Broadway or toured it, people would say, I didn't know he sang that.
Yeah,
that was him.
It's a great song.
That's how he could be a chameleon. He could just change, and he didn't read music. Wrote 180 songs. He was I think he and George Harrison were one of the first who had synthesizers.
Yeah,
synthesizers.
That was my favorite Beatles.
Mine too.
We actually do a Beatles song in this show, and it might be a George Harrison Beatles song. So Joyce, you might be.
I'll be
hopefully,
there.
my chops will impress you with my George Harrison song.
It's the thing, Chaz. You said that he didn't read music, but neither did the Beatles didn't know how to read music. Elvis didn't know how to read music.
Correct.
And
but Elvis didn't write.
No.
Bobby wrote a lot.
Exactly.
Beatles wrote a lot too.
And Phil Collins still to this day doesn't know how to read music.
Amazing.
He has his own syncopation system that he came up with himself.
I read, and I don't know. I was just rehearsing with my guitarist the other day, and I was like, how do you play, not him, but like Darin and some of the people were talking, and you don't know where you're going next. It's like driving blind, but you're going to get there. I can't understand it because I read music, and I don't know if it's a positive or negative, but, they
just
feel it,
go
they hear
with
it.
They
They
or like
feel
the
it
Rolling
and hear
Stones,
it.
like when Keith Richards is out there, is he reading music, you think, or just feeling?
I don't know if he reads. I mean, at that point, it's in their head.
It's
They
in
know
their
where
heads,
they're
yeah,
going.
yeah.
Especially at this stage of their
At
career.
this
So many
stage,
times,
Satisfaction, they played a few times.
I can just
I know, maybe 1,000 or 2.
Yeah. But let's go back to your roots there,
Yes.
Chaz. What did you do before, and then all of a sudden you decide, I want to sing?
Yeah,
Was singing something you always wanted to do, or was that like a later decision?
As a kid, I remember liking it. And I said, my mother studied voice. She was a trained opera singer. And you were talking about your voice, but she had polyps. They did throat surgery and annihilated her voice. Could never sing again. Barely could speak. But I guess I heard it. There was music in the house. And I played sports for years. I got cut from a team. And I said I needed something to do. And I remember going home. I said, Ma, I was like a junior or senior in high school. I said, they're doing a musical. And I went to an all-guys prep school, Catholic school. And she said, always encouraging. That's good. You should get involved. You meet girls and blah, blah, blah. And I did. And I tried out. And I had no idea what I was doing, obviously. And I sang. And they said, you got to dance. And sometimes being stupid is good because I was totally stupid. And I did it. And I went home. I said, Ma, I think I got one of the leads. And my mother said, oh, that's great. She said, when I went opening, I was shaking. She said, this kid never sang, never danced. And it was The Boyfriend, the play. Yes. And I played Bobby Van Heusen, and I had a tango, and I had to do all these dances and singing. And it just bit me, and I fell in love with it. Wow. And I didn't stop from there. I just said, somehow I'm going to work in this business, casting, producing, on stage, music directing, churches, wherever music is and actors and performing is, that's where I want to be. And I had to find a way to do it, and I did it.
And there's a lot of rejection in the business you're in.
As we said, we were talking off camera, more than on,
How do you handle that? Because so many people watching right now are always curious. They hear the success stories, but they want to know how you overcame adversity.
You just, you have to just take it very lightly. Some people, as a casting director and working with actors, you have to say, this is a minute in your life. And this isn't any... Do an audition, do it as best as you can, and move on. Go to the next one. It's a numbers game. Right. If you're going to audition once a month and hoping for a job, that's tough. You got to rehearse 100. You have to audition 100 times a month, and if you work off at 10%, now you got 10 jobs. If you audition once a month, those numbers don't work. So it's a numbers game. So with me, I get rejected. Go to the next call. Right. Go to the next theater. Go to the next casino. You can't say, oh boy, John hurt my feelings. Oh, Joyce said this to me. You got to get callousy and not rude, but move on.
Yeah,
hey, for some reason, I'm not supposed to be there in this world right now. I'm not supposed to be
Joyce,
there.
that's a great point, because if it was meant for you, you'd get
I'd be there.
It wasn't meant for you, it was meant for someone else, so it blessed them.
And
you got something better coming your way.
And that's how I think of it now. It wasn't meant for me to be at that place at that time, so something else will come along.
Yeah. And you also had the positivity and the tenacity to keep doing it.
Tenacity is the word.
Yeah.
I could use another word, but we're on a podcast, and
we're going to try to keep it clean here, gang.
know that
when
other
you
word.
see me May 1st to May 18th, I might use that word.
I can't wait.
But yes, no.
But you have to have a little bit of that.
You do.
Yeah.
You do. And you just... you have to know you're doing your best. Whether you're on stage, you're a mechanic, you're an electrician, you're a truck driver, do your best. And what's going to come back to you in the world, it'll come back to you. And my joy is, what I do get is making people happy. I mean, when you see, as a performer, the faces of people. Pavarotti said it's oxygen for us, and it is totally. When you just see those smiles, or someone meets you backstage or at a restaurant after and say, you sang, or you did, or you told that story. And I remember my mother. I got a great story. I'm playing Long Wharf Theater. This is the original off-Broadway show, and we're playing there for a week. And I had advertisements from when Bobby Darin played the Arena. 1960.
New
or
Haven
61.
Arena?
New Haven Arena.
Wow.
And the tickets were $3.
Oh my gosh.
But get this, Joyce. If you didn't have enough money, you could go to the rehearsal for $1.
Really? Oh, I didn't know they did that.
They did that, yes. If you give me $1, you can come to my rehearsal next week, Joyce.
I'll be there. Here's
What's my
dollar.
cost, Chaz?
Here's my dollar.
You know, I'll cut it in half, 50 cents each. And so you won't believe this. It's after the show, 2 women come backstage crying. Aww. And they said, my parents couldn't afford to see him, and they gave us $1 to see the show, to see his rehearsal. And you just you brought us back to 1960, and that it was worth everything you could imagine to see their eyes and light up, and you made somebody's day or night or week or whatever. And from a performer's point of view, there is nothing better than that.
Right.
No, you could have gone home at that point.
What's that?
You could have gone home at that point.
It was the end of the show. I did.
You did. Oh, okay.
But thanks, Joy.
Right.
But you're out there on the stage and you're singing "Can't Take My Eyes Off of You," and all of a sudden people are out there and they're going back to 1967.
Yeah.
What they were doing at that time.
Who you were with.
Yeah.
And you're hearing, and plus the music you're doing, quite frankly, now. Some people might think, oh, it's older music, but everything old is new again to a whole new generation.
Correct.
So these 18, 19, 20-year-olds are loving a lot of these classics as much as their parents and grandparents did.
Right.
It's timeless. A classic is a classic for a reason.
Right.
Can't Take My Eyes Off You. Now Jersey Boys coming in the film, so a younger generation knows that song. And, we do a lot of Neil Diamond stuff. I was talking to you a little bit about the Monkees.
Sure.
He wrote one of the songs.
I'm a believer.
I'm glad I was trying to keep that a secret, Joyce. Now, John, now they know what I'm singing.
So Bobby Darin wrote. Are you saying Bobby Darin wrote "I'm a Believer"?
No, Neil Diamond
Neil
wrote that.
Diamond.
I'm a
Neil
believer for the
Diamond.
Monkees.
And we
Okay.
actually do a couple of more of his songs, but we do some of his writing because we talk a lot in the Legends of the '60s. We talk a lot about the Brill Building.
Yes.
The Brill Building.
Carole
in New York
King.
City. Yeah, that's right. Carole King, Neil Diamond, Neil
Yes.
Sedaka,
Yes.
Bobby Darin, Sonny Bono.
Love 'em
So
all.
this is where they went into a cubicle. They had a small piano. They maybe had a vocalist come in, and they would say, we could hear the person playing a song next door, and all of which you're taking their chords and you're trying to write your own song. So we talk a lot about the Brill Building because we focus a lot on those artists of the '60s that wrote there. So it's just so
interesting.
interesting.
That building. It's the Brill Building.
Brill.
Yep, the Brill Building.
Brill Building.
Yeah, Joyce, think about that area. There were more hit songs from that area high school. People that went to that high school, like Carole King and Paul Simon,
That's right.
they went to the same school than any other area in the USA.
That I think it started from Tin Pan Alley.
Yes,
But the
back to
50s
the 20s.
and 60s, it was huge because in that building were not only songwriters, were publishers, record labels. So they said you never had to leave the building. You could write a song, find a publisher, move it to a record
It was
label.
a one-stop.
Right. Do a demo, and it was amazing. I mean, that doesn't exist anymore, but I love that, like talking about playing Legacy and playing nightclubs, which we could talk about where I started, the intimacy of being this close to people. And I look right in their eyes. And I mean, we do old school jokes. I mean, I bring them there. You are now, as I said, the band is on stage, the audience is on stage.
Right.
They are part. You have to get dragged into it. Yeah. And my beginnings, which I talk about, started as nightclub. I was young, and there were still a few left. So I would go every Saturday night and sing with the house band. It was a scene out of Goodfellas.
Yes.
It was a scene because it was they'd come at 7:00 and they start with their cocktails, then they go to dinner, and there was a house band. And the first time I did it, I won't mention the club, but I was there. I had my 3 songs ready, and the owner said, well, the band's over there on break. And I went up, and the 3 guys are sitting very friendly. They said, I still remember I was singing On a Clear Day.
Oh, you could see forever.
Right, you could see forever. I was doing Delilah and Malafemida. Speaking of Jimmy Rosselli,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And they looked at me and said, great, what key, these keys, and what tempo? And they're eating. They're very, they're looking. They're very intent. I said, so when do we rehearse? They said, I don't know. We'll just call you on. I thought Joe Frazier punched me in the jaw. I was like, you're just going to call me on? I never did that.
Wow.
And then there's 400 people. Here's Chaz coming in. And my whole body was convulsing. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm
find a
doing
way to get it done, don't you?
You know, and so people look at you now and say, why are you so calm out there? So, well, you do that for years and not knowing what the band's going to play, what the people are going to react to. You get very good at it quick, or at least comfortable. I should say good. I don't want to be pompous, but you get comfortable.
You learn to pivot.
You learn to
That's
pivot.
great training.
It was my college.
Yeah.
I say that in the show. It was my performing college. That I'm singing on a clear day, Joyce, and a woman's this close to you, probably a few contests. She goes, I can't hear you. And I'm like, you can't hear me.
Right.
The vocal, the mic was going down. I couldn't put it any further down my throat. I was like, I got to get out of here.
Wow.
And I kept going back. It was like a drug. I kept going back for it. I'll do it more until I, just loved it.
Now,
that's how I started.
In your performances, especially in the early days, did you ever have people that were heckling?
Oh, they do. We just did it the last show I did in
No.
Connecticut. Oh, my
No,
God.
really?
Love it.
What? Yeah.
You feed off that?
Oh, I encourage it.
Do you respond?
Not from you two.
Yeah, stop heckling him.
Boy, Joyce was so nice in the interview. Look at her now with this there. Throw her out.
No, do you stop and address it?
Oh, yeah. We had a
What do you
great
do?
time.
What do you
I
say?
just, razz them back.
Okay.
I could go into my Don Rickles routine. It's
Oh,
like,
wow.
you're doing this 30, 40, 35 years. You get to learn. And they think you're going to catch you.
Right.
It's like, you're not going to catch me with a line or whatever, So it's fun. Yeah. And then the audience gets into it, especially if I had a woman. That's opening up.
Sounds like a title. If I had a woman of a song.
Had this woman in the front row, and last show we did, and she was 5 people contacted me and said she was a shill, right? You set her up there. She threw more lines, and we did more back and back. The audience was hysterical. Wow. I should pay her to be there. She was that funny and good.
Yeah.
And then everybody said, well, she's joining in. Let me say, another woman popped in. I was drinking my little Tito's on stage to say I relaxed. She said, how about the limoncello? So I said, all right, next time I'll bring limoncello. So it just, I love it. I love it. And it brings them in.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah, it's like a big party.
It's got to be.
Yeah.
It's got to be, and they just... I did. We were talking about my casting work, and I did something for Robin Leach years ago, and one of his shows. I'm in New York, and I'm on East 60th. So Goodfellas had come up. I walk up East 60th, and I'm standing on East, and I'm looking at the buildings, and I'm like, where was the Copa? I know I'm close. So there's a doorman to the left of me. I said, excuse me, can you tell me where the Copa is? He goes, you're staring at it. And I'm like, this is where Ray Liotta parked his car in Goodfellas. I'm standing right there, and I'm looking at, the Copa, and I would talk so much about it with Steve Blauner regarding Bobby Darin and everybody who played there, and it was only 700 seats. It was 2 levels, 300, 350, and 350, and they had a staging, but as people kept coming in Goodfellas and they brought the table, the staging went further, less and less and less. So you were working on a 4x8. There was nothing to work on. It was just the intensity and how close, and that's what I feed off of. Yeah. And that's where legacy is just great.
It's
just great.
for you.
It's perfect. It is perfect.
One of the greatest places to see a show because, again, you feel like it's one big living room.
That's correct.
And I love that approach, even being in the entertainment business myself, with the DJ business. I love when people are right there with you and you can interact with them.
Absolutely.
I think this
you absolutely know
most
that.
Similar to that would have been Long Wharf Theater, which I loved.
Oh, yeah.
And the old Oakdale with the
3,000 in the round.
Yeah.
That was the Oakdale was, and that was for 3,000 seats. It was still intimate.
Yes.
Yeah, that was why we were talking about a show I might be doing with in Connecticut with Jimmy Rosselli, and I remember I must have seen him three times there, and Sergio Franchi and Pat Cooper, and and that old style entertainment that I talk about this in Legends, but you look at like a Sinatra, a Jerry Lewis, or a Dean Martin, and there's celebrities out there today, and they're wonderful, but they were masters of recording, concerts, TV, film. When you think back, most people don't do it in those genres today. They might be a recording artist, they might be a film artist, but they're not cutting across. I mean, Dean Martin had the biggest rating show on TV for 12 or 14 years. Sinatra had reprise records. He had concerts never stopped for them.
Look at Bing Crosby, all the stuff he did.
Oh,
he was quite the entrepreneur.
And he owned,
he owned a bunch of baseball teams
Tropicana.
too.
He owned part. You didn't know Tropicana?
Yeah.
He was an owner in Orange Juice.
He was extraordinarily
That really
successful.
impressed you, Joyce, huh?
Yeah, no, because I was thinking you were talking about the Tropicana
Stick with us,
plug.
Joyce. It's quick.
That's right.
Isn't there a club called the Tropicana?
Would you drink more of that coffee, please?
What's in that coffee?
A little Bailey.
John, I didn't know.
Yeah, right.
Oh yeah, that's me. Get some brandy in there.
Oh man.
Oh man, yeah, but that's I'm probably too young for my age of the music I loved. I should probably be 110.
But thank God you're bringing that music back.
Yeah,
that keep it alive.
And I think there are a lot of people out there that enjoy it, to hear this,
Without question.
especially Legends of the 60s, where there's a variety of artists, as I said, Neil Diamond, Neil Sedaka, Bobby Darin, Sinatra, Dean Martin. I mean, the list is the Monkees, on and on. We do Love and Spoonful, Wayne Newton. So it's just... there's something for everyone, and I will say, if I do connect the stories, I bring it to full a full resolve of beginning to end.
You know what?
And I think people like that.
That's kind of the glue that keeps it all together.
Correct.
I think the artists of today, the new artists, appreciate that also. I think they're going back.
To do some of that.
And checking it out.
Now, I must tell you, these chairs are comfortable, but I feel like I'm on the dating game. Like contestant number 2.
Jim Ladd.
I got to tell you, too, I take
Right?
Joyce.
Jim Ladd.
Jim Ladd.
Wow.
They stuck with me.
I like you, John, but I'm taking Joyce.
Bachelor number 1.
Yes,
What
give me a
is
question.
it?
I answered
Right.
enough. Am I talking too much? I'm probably telling you too much.
No, I think our
love
audience
your
is really
energy.
enjoying
No,
this.
He encompasses. I'm talking in the third person. He encompasses what's good.
Right. You do.
I mean,
Thank you.
That's what's good. You have infectious, beautiful energy.
Thank you.
So
And
positive.
hopefully this comes out during our shows. So
Yes.
I
yes.
just love the whole idea of the storytelling, like you said, because I learned a long time ago that facts tell, stories sell.
Well-
People learn by stories.
right.
Yes, 100%. And as we wrap up here,
Sure.
tell us about the show again and when
Sure.
it's happening.
We open up at Legacy Theater in Branford, Connecticut on Thursday, May 1st. We run till May 18th, 15 performances. So it's Thursday through Sunday for 3 weeks. 12-piece band, 2 backup singers. We are so thrilled. I'm ecstatic just to go back there for my 3rd time and just knock their socks off.
But
Audiences are going to enjoy it.
just your energy level alone has sold this for me.
Oh, my gosh.
If
Thank
you're
you.
watching it right now
Yes.
and you love that music, this is just an added bonus with, Chaz up on the stage. Just
Thank you. And to see you guys again. This is
Aw,
like,
it's so
Oh, it's
great
great to see you,
seeing
too.
this is great. Thank
really
you.
is.
It's so great. Thank you for being on our show.
This was totally a pleasure. I hope you invite me back.
Oh, we're going to definitely
come
have
back.
you back. without
Anytime.
question, right?
Anytime.
well,
What?
thank
Next
you so
week?
much.
Exactly.
But thank you so much for tuning in to What's Good. Check us out each and every week. We have new episodes, 30-minute episodes each and every week. Tell a friend about us. And by the way, subscribe for free on YouTube. Just go to YouTube and type in What's Good with John and Joyce. Tell a friend about us who needs something positive and upbeat. I think people are thirsting and hungering for good news.
Absolutely. And remember to find the what's good in your life, because there's always something good in each day.
That's right.
And the more you look for that, the more you're going to see it.
Gratitude.
Thanks.
Till next time.
Bye for now.